you were saying about him going either to the Dolphins or the Giants, as a Giants fan, I would love that, but I don't really think that's going to happen. But, I mean, I appreciate your
I think all the teams he wants to go to, he thinks that he's worth more than what they're asking for him to sign. I've also seen that my Jets, they've been interested in him. They have mutual interest, but they still can't find the right price tag, which I think is the problem with Jadeveon Clowney. He's still looking. He's a great player, but he's still looking for a team that's giving him $20 million, and I don't think any team will give him that money.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting, but another big thing to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals, and have they really obviously they acquired DeAndre Hopkins, but do you think you guys think they're really becoming a playoff contender in this league?
Their offense, I believe next year is going to be insane. Kyler Murray didn't have a lot to work with last year, and I do believe
still has Larry Fitzgerald though.
He's old. He's kind of old, and he's not really.
But still, I think he's a valuable asset.
But I feel like he has a lot to work with, and now with DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray could really evolve as a player, and I think their offense could be great. And I mean, defense aside, their defense wasn't terrible last year.
Yeah, what Alex said, I think the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, he won Offensive Rookie of the Year last year, and like Alex said, he didn't have many players to deal with or to pass to. He ran a lot from the end zone. He got a lot of touchdowns that way. Or he went to Larry Fitzgerald, and they traded for Kenyon Drake last year, who's still going to be on the team. And I think with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, right. I think this team definitely could make the playoffs.
By the way, Larry Fitzgerald, I really believe he is a valuable asset because I know his age, but he is he's one of the best wide receivers I think who's played in this league, and I think he's still at his old age. I think he's really valuable, and I personally think for a young quarterback, it is very, very valuable and very, very helpful for a young quarterback to have a veteran wide receiver and the veteran wide receiver will be able to help that quarterback to wide receiver communication. And Kyler can get an insight on, how the wide receivers go about their business and how the quarterbacks and then Larry can get a insight on how young quarterbacks can go about their business. I think it's very valuable to have a young QB or a veteran wide receiver or, veteran QB and young wide receiver. I think it's two minds put together, and I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, but I want to actually bring up a point here. You guys are missing out on like a really big playoff contender, not to be biased or anything, but I think the Broncos really have a shot in making a good run in the playoffs because they got Jerry Jeudy, like one of the best wide receivers in the draft class, maybe even the best. And then they got KJ Hamler, the speedster. They got Drew Lock's favorite target in Missouri, Albert Okamu. And they also got on defense, they have AJ Boye and Jarrell Casey. So I think you're missing out on that team. They can be a really scary team.
You're not wrong. I do agree with you on that. Drew Lock, he had a 6-1 record this year when he started. He only lost and they won the Super Bowl. So
I think there's a lot of
we only lost to the Chiefs
that were not anywhere close to the playoffs last year and could get a lot closer to the playoffs this year. I think the Cardinals could maybe make the playoffs. I think the Browns could make the playoffs. I think maybe even the Bears if Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles settles their problems, and maybe even the Jets. I mean, Sam Darnold, he had a great end to the season last year. One of the only two losses he had was the Baltimore Ravens. He got Denzel Mims, who was a great steal in the second round, and he got a completely new offensive line. All 5 people on that offensive line that coming into next year were not on the team last year. I think they completely revamped the team.
Gabe, and that's where, Gabe, I disagree with you a lot. Yeah, I disagree with you a lot, Gabe, because if you're going to bring in a new offensive line, they're still developing. You have Sam Darnold, he's not proven yet. Then we don't have you have Jamal Adams, but then you don't have a great defense other than that. And the Jets,
I wouldn't say that because last year
where have they ever been?
had a top 10 defense. And I think you won't agree with that, but when you look at the stats, they have one of the best rush defenses. Yeah, their pass defense was not good at all. But I think last year they took steps on their defense to being a better defense, which they were last year, which was top 10. And I think the Jets offense, they got Denzel Mims in the late second round, and I think Le'Veon Bell may have a better season, and then they have a new offensive line. Only one of them is a rookie, and the rest of them are veterans in the NFL. One of them from the Broncos, Connor McGovern. And I think if everything goes right and there aren't as many injuries, I think the Jets definitely could be a playoff team. I think so could the Broncos and maybe even the Bears.
Right. And, this brings me to us talking about the Bears a little bit because, they had two big signings this week. They had Ted Ginn Jr., who they got, great slot receiver, he's fast, and it's definitely someone Matt Nagy can use in his offense as a downfield threat, and, someone can move around the screen game. And then they also got some they got I think who's going to be a day one starter at their strong safety number 2 slot at Tayshaun Gibson. We weren't that deep at that second safety position. If we hadn't gotten Gibson, it would have been Deion Bush starting. And I just, I didn't really feel totally comfortable with him starting. I think he's going to be a great backup. But I didn't really totally feel comfortable with Deion Bush. And I really like both of these signings. And I think this defense, if you really take a step back and look at it, and I know the Bears offense, they have their struggles, but if you really take a step back and look at this defense, I really start to say, man, this defense looks good. That's just my opinion. I don't know what's best.
If the right things happen, like Akeem Hicks, he was injured for almost the whole year last year.
Right.
And that was one of their best players.
Right. Can I add just one thing to that? Is Akeem Hicks got hurt, and that drove all the attention to Mac. So it really disoriented that defensive line. But you added Robert Quinn, who was like one of the best, if not the best pass rusher last year in the NFL. You've got him alongside Khalil Mack, and then you've got Akeem Hicks, who is probably the best run stopper, one of the best run stoppers on any D line in the NFL. And then you've got a bunch of decent rotational players coming in there. You got Bilal Nichols, you got Roy Robertson Harris, you got Eddie Goldman. You got guys coming in there, and those guys can really make a difference. And then you look at the linebackers, and you got Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan. Then you look at Kyle Fuller, and then you look at Jalen Johnson. We just got out of Utah in this draft, who was easily first round talent just with his injuries that were a little bit of a problem in college. And then you look at Eddie Jackson, who's the best safety. I think one of the best safeties in the league, besides for Jamal Adams. I do think he's better. And then you look at adding Tayshaun Gibson. I think this defense can be scary if they can stay healthy.
I think the defense could be scary, but key things that I'm scared about for the Bears is number one, their quarterback problems, and number two, they're the first pick that they got in the draft. Listen, they got Cole Kmet, who he is a good tight end. But listen, they have so many tight ends on the roster.
But those guys are all going to get cut. No one understands. And to anyone watching, when you see CBS Sports post on Instagram, oh my God, the Bears, those guys are all going to get cut. That's just how it works. It works is you got a lot of tight ends, you have a lot of any position, and they all get cut. And you got like three to start the regular season. You got like 1 or 2 on the practice squad. That's how it works. And
I think the Bears definitely could have gone with a more needed position with their first round. They did not need a tight end. They could have gone wider, or they maybe even a run. They didn't need
No,
a
I
run.
don't think so. No, but
Even
you
a
know what?
wide
Let me say
receiver.
something. You know, the offensive line was a huge issue. This guy will actually, I know he's a tight end, but this guy is an insane blocker. 49 pass block attempts, 0 sacks, 0 hurries, 0 knockdowns. This guy is an insane blocker, and he's very athletic. You know, he was a Chicago Bears fan all his life. I actually like that pick with Cole Kmet. But now let me talk about something else. Is the fifth-year option with Trubisky. It doesn't seem like they're going to pick up the option. But, and you know, they're calling it open competition. But I really think that, you know, they're paying Foles so much money. It's really hard for me to think. You know, I'm a big Mitch Trubisky supporter, and I really support him. And, you know, I think he's respected by his teammates. And I know, you know, it wasn't his best year last year. But I still, you know, have trust in him. But I just think they're paying Nick Foles too much to have him sit on the bench. And obviously, if Foles is terrible and Trubisky comes in and breaks out, then you know what? I think they're going to pick it up, and they'd be happy to because they know that's really good for Ryan Pace. Like, you know, this pick works out. But if that doesn't happen, I think we could be seeing the end of Trubisky's tenure in the Windy City.
Yeah, I think we could also, if neither Nick Foles or Trubisky works out, I think this team has potential. But if neither Trubisky or Foles works out, I think I could be seeing the downfall of the defense because the other side of the ball is not performing.
I personally think that they're gonna like switch off quarterbacks. Like, you know how like sometimes like teams may put in like a quarterback then, and then they may switch him out for a little bit and then put another one in. I think that's what they're gonna do because they're pretty much at the same level, and I do like Mitch Trubisky a lot more than Nick Foles. And ideally, I do think they should that signing Nick Foles was a very, very dumb idea.
I think it was too expensive. I like the sign. I think, you know, he's got his old offensive coordinator in there. He knows Nagy's offense, but I just think they're paying him too much money. And I think they're lying about the open competition. I really don't think it's going to be an open competition. I can't say, you know, they're overpaying a lot of guys. So they're overpaying Jimmy Graham, and you know that's terrible because, you know, I want to see Kmet really develop this year. But then again, are you really going to have your paying? And then Eric Ebron, who I think could be even better, is getting paid less by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think some of the moves that Ryan Pace has made have been very, very questionable. But, you know, this is going to be really interesting.
Some moves have been great. Some moves have been
right.
Terrible.
Exactly.
The Bears haven't spent their money wisely.
Well, I think, you know, that defense is looking scary. You know, the Robert Quinn signing, great signing. But I think the evaluation, like just not having a significant plan, like, all right, if you want an open competition, then why are you paying someone so much money that it's going to be stupid to have that? You have to prepare for both of them be sitting. If you want to draft a tight end, maybe not spend a lot of money on a free agent tight end, like those things. And I think his philosophy, of best player available during the draft on the draft board serves him well at times, but also really is bad at other times.
I think just one last thing. I think compared to if the Bears defense was, say, like a WWE wrestler, I think the Bears offense kind of looks like almost like a 3-year-old toddler.
Right. I mean, it's definitely not fully developed at all. I mean, it's got a lot of work. You know, they lost Taylor Gabriel. So we're going to take one last break. When we come back, MLB 2020, will there be a season? We're going to talk about that next. And we're going to talk about the NCAA's decision this week to allow players to profit off their likeness starting in the 2021 to 2022 season. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back, everyone, to our final couple minutes of the A.D.C. Sports Podcast. According to ESPN, Texas could be another location that can be